Hello, and welcome to the beginning. In the last video, I mentioned that the kick and the snare in this track, at least I hope I mentioned, are completely synthesized. I made them from nothing. They are being synthesized by using a lot of citrus and a lot of post-processing. It's a cool thing. I like the fact that you can do that, and it's going to be neat. However, if you don't care, then you can just skip the kick and the snare portions of this video and this whole series, and you can just get samples that sound like you want, because honestly, that's a bit more efficient. This is mostly just a neat exercise. It is going to be a little bit weird, and I'm not fully perfect at it yet, which means I'm going to have to check my notes a lot to make sure that I actually make something worthwhile. So again, you could probably skip the kick and the snare videos and not miss anything at all, just so you know. And if you're sticking around, this is going to be fun. So first thing I'm going to do before I do anything is I'm going to go to all the operators and turn the pitches to 0. And the reasons for that are because this is going to be a percussive sound, and it's going to involve a lot of non-harmonic qualities, and I'm going to basically create the pitches by using the hertz values instead of the ratio values. The ratio values are essentially key tracking. The hertz values are always going to be at whatever value the hertz setting is at. So this means that I could play whatever note I want, and it will have an exact value. This is going to be especially useful later when I want to make a snare, and you might hear the term 200 hertz snare a lot, and I can actually just literally set it to be 200 hertz, and then it won't be a problem. However, we are making a kick today, so it's not going to be nearly that high, but it will involve similar ideas. In fact, all percussive elements share a common sort of beginning, and that is the main idea is as some tone, sine wave or otherwise, and a pitch fall. So if I'm in my envelope here, I go to pitch, and I create just a downward spike envelope. Even just doing this, which isn't fast enough, you can still kind of hear there is actual movement going on. And if I hit it a little harder, you can definitely feel how that translates into being an actual kick, percussive sound. Of course, the wider the fall, let's also turn this on, the sort of the harder it is. And you could, conceivably go all the way and bring the whole thing down and make it very high. And that would actually, a synthetic kick will do stuff like that. But we actually don't want to do that because we're going to replace a lot of the higher frequencies with other sounds of our own creation. So for this, that's pretty good. Now, this particular sound that I'm creating was based on a sound. It was me trying to recreate an acoustic drum kick. My tiny citrus. I need that. It's based on an acoustic kick, and the acoustic kick has a lot of qualities that a synthetic kick doesn't. And a lot of the kicks that you show up in dubstep tracks like the one we're going to make today have acoustic qualities to them. The higher frequencies that attack sounds are sourced from stuff like that, and also there's some sort of mid-range activity that comes from that as well. And we're going to sort of mimic what I call the room sound with some of this lower frequency activity. I'm just going to put that kind of there, and then I'm going to FM it by a pretty slow tone, but I'm going to create some sort of harmonic weirdness in the oscillator window, which is going to basically mean that this is going to move around in a weird kind of ways. Like that. Now, I don't really want that kind of business, that snap in there, so I'm going to go to the volume envelope and I'm going to create a short up and down. That's weird that I can still hear that. That's because that's the FM. I want to do that on this guy. FM could do that if it wants to, but I didn't want to do that. I want to do it on the actual thing. There. Well, that can be, yeah. So let's work on this guy some more. That's kind of what I want to do. I forgot to put a volume envelope on this guy too. So that means when I hold the note, it just keeps going for a long time, which sounds kind of neat, but we're not making trap today. So that's not going to be something that we need. This can be a full sharp, I think. Oops, come on. There. Maybe make this a little lower. Slightly wider. Yeah. So now I'm going to add a little bit of reverb to it, but not a lot. Let's see. Decay could be a lot shorter. This is kind of mimic kind of what the room sounds like. Make it a little warmer. You could have some of that on the kick as well. So that might not sound like a lot, just what we've done there, but when we pile on the rest of the stuff, it'll definitely have this kind of wind-like airy quality that you get in sort of actual realistic drum samples. Now, knowing to do that, the way that I figured this out is I basically had this EQ open, like I do right now, and I put a real drum sample through it, and I looked at the harmonic behavior that looks kind of like what we have here. And so I was like, okay, well, if that looks like just a bunch of frequencies moving around at a low, low levels and that kind of thing, then hey, I could probably do that with FM, which is why we're using an FM synth to do this. It's pretty easy to make specialized performing enharmonic sounds with FM than it is with other kinds of synthesis. Although you definitely could still do a lot of this with, regular stuff, or even Harmor for that matter. So now the number 4 here is going to be the high frequency metallic kick, the clicky sound. And to do that, we're going to, we're going to just get really high frequency. And I did not limit the end of this. If you're ever using Citrus and you hold the note, and you let go of the note, but it plays throughout the whole length of whatever envelope you have, you got to put this on there so that it will actually end when you hit the note. Now, we made this really big old blip here, and we're going to FM the crap out of it. Now, you might have noticed that when there was a moment there where it kind of resonated. And that's neat, but we're not trying to make harmonic sounds. We're trying to make enharmonic sounds, which are just the name of the sound itself infers that it's a sound that is not harmonic, and that's sort of where you get metallic or non-tonal percussive sounds other than using the pitch fall. Although the pitch fall basically creates the enharmonic motion by the fact that you're moving your frequency through more than just harmonic content. It's pretty good, but it's that's a little bit more like what I wanted there, which is to say that it's kind of localized to a specific section. All right, so now that's pretty ridiculous. And what we're going to do with this is that we're going to do a combo of things. I am going to still utilize a pitch fall, but I'm only going to do that a little bit. It's not going to be a lot of a fall. It's gonna be... And then I'm going to make a, nice and short, I'm going to make a volume envelope on this whole thing. And the volume envelope is what's going to create, you know, the snappiness of this idea. And there it is. Something that makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it? And now with the other guys, it's starting to come together. It's starting to actually be like, wow, that sounds kind of like an actual thing now, doesn't it? There's a lot about that we need to fix, but it's, again, you can sort of tell that it's coming together. That's a little better. This makes you feel like this isn't fast enough. That's a little better. Let's see if we can maybe make the volume on number 1 here. This is the volume envelope I chose to use. Yeah, I guess it is. That's a little weird, but whatever works. Good stuff. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of just noise, because we made noise with the FM on operator 4 here, but I do want actual noise to kind of be involved. And we're going to do this in kind of a fun way. I'm just going to route number 6 to a filter, and I filter it out. And number 6 is going to have just noise on. I'm going to turn on the bandpass. See how that kind of works? Let's actually do... There's a number of things here that we can do that'll do some kind of neat stuff. So I think what I'll do is let's go to the real bandpass. This is going to come in real handy when we do snares. So I think what I want to do, I'm going to automate the resonance to come down over time. Like so. And also automate the volume to come down slightly faster than that. Yes. Chorus is on, isn't it? Nope. That explains kind of why some of that sounded weird. That's a little too high frequency in there. So what's going to happen now is that I'm going to actually route the filter into the next filter, and then route that filter out, and I'm going to low pass it, but sort of very on the high frequency side, so that we can sort of. Number 3 here still feels, or 4 rather, still feels kind of crunchy. And it has to do with how the FM is affecting it. So there's a couple things we can do about that. Let's try doing. As not an effective strategy. Let's try moving around the pitch. Oops, forgot to end the envelope. Perhaps the resonance could be. I'm okay with that. So now we're going to treat it like we treat any other kind of regular kick sample. We're going to process it with some sort of compression and the EQing and that kind of thing. Doing this will also inform how changes we want to make in the original synthesis as well. So all the compression I'm doing right now, this is basically just leveling it out. It's kind of limiting on some things, and then I went and changed the attack and the delay to be completely off, and this prevents any kind of lollygagging on the part of the compressor from engaging when the hit hits, which is preserving the hit's actual like hit. It's preserving the sharpness of the hit as much as it can anyway. All right, so this is telling me the low end exists for way too long. And this feels a little weird, the clicky bit. We can sort of change that by altering how loud, like what pitch it is. We're altering the click out, not the FM in. The noise. I'm actually lower the bandpass. That's a little better. We can also alter the stereo spreads of some things. I don't know how much that we want to keep. We'll find out when the real thing starts to be a thing. Do I want to do EQ before or after? Before or after? Let's do before, just because I want to keep it. It'll keep it below, like at 0 dB if I do it with the compression. I think that might not go low enough. Now I kind of want to bring up that bandpass again. That feels a little better. Yeah. That's pretty good for now. We'll probably change some of this when we get the rest of the song in here, because that's just how mixing works. But this is a good first start on having a kick. Yeah, so in the next video, we're going to make the snare, which is going to be, as much as this might have seemed complicated, it's going to be so much more complicated to do the snare. I might have some problems with it, but we'll find out. Let's do that.